Level 1, Junior Analyst. The market opens in 4 minutes. You've been here since 5:47 a.m. 3 monitors, 1 lukewarm coffee, a stack of pitch decks no one will touch. You are 23 years old. You have $94,000 in debt. Your salary felt enormous until you saw what your MD built today. So you run the numbers. You format the models. You don't complain. You learn to read a 10K in 40 minutes. That's survival at this level. And then, one morning, you find it. A number wrong buried inside your senior associate's model. An error worth $2 million. You stare at it. You quietly fix it in your own file. You say nothing to anyone because the system doesn't reward honesty. It rewards discretion. Your days are 14 hours, sometimes 18. You stop counting after month 1. You watch which managing director to stand near and which ones to avoid. You don't have power yet, but you know exactly where it lives. You process a $430 million deal from a spreadsheet on floor 31. You never meet the client. You never see the boardroom, but your numbers are in that room. Your work is in the deck. And somewhere in that distance, you start to understand the geometry of this. You are the foundation. The part nobody sees, the part nobody acknowledges. The floor is empty, it's late. You look out at the city, and for the first time, you're not thinking about the salary anymore. Level 2, Associate. 2 years later, you're in the room, not the main room, the side room where associates sit and wait. But you're there, and that's the shift. You're structuring now. Junior pieces, but real structure. You draft the terms on a $180 million mezzanine financing. You sit across from a CFO for the first time. You explain a covenant breach scenario without flinching, because you've run that scenario 40 times in the past week. That's your currency at this level preparation. The deal a leveraged buyout of a regional logistics company. It will almost certainly result in operational cuts. You don't model the human cost. Nobody asks you to. You model EBITDA margins, debt service coverage. You present it cleanly. The deal moves forward. You collect your bonus. You don't think about Ohio. You rationalize it the way everyone does. You just ran the numbers. The second rule, proximity to capital, is proximity to power. And proximity to power means proximity to decisions you'd rather not have made. You start building your own loyalty network. A VP who brings you on to deals. An associate who feeds you information. You protect each other not out of friendship, but out of mutual utility. Welcome to the first layer of the machine, inside the machine. Level 3, Vice President. You're managing people now. Their output, their errors, their hours. A team of 4 analysts, 2 associates. You stop counting your own hours. You think in deal flow now. Not hours, not tasks, deal flow. You close your first transaction independently, a $620 million acquisition financing European infrastructure in Southeast Asia. Your MD is on the cover sheet. You are on page 6. But in the room, the client is talking to you, asking you questions, looking at you when the numbers get complicated. That's the shift at VP. You're no longer supported, you're a dealer. You start to see the ethical architecture of high finance more clearly. The target company's pension obligations restructured post-close. The acquiring fund needs a 22% IRR. The pension restructuring makes that possible. You know what it means for the retirees. You don't say it. Nobody says it in the meeting. The deal closes in 11 weeks. Your year-end cut is $480,000. You wire $40,000 to your parents. You buy a 2-bedroom in a city where 2 bedrooms signal arrival. You tell yourself the pension situation was already insolvent. You might even be right. The third rule at the VP level, you stop asking if the deal is good. You ask if the deal is executable. At this level, that question is the only one left. Level 4, Director. You're sourcing now. Not just executing deals, you're originating them. Clients call you directly, not your MD, you. Private equity shops route deal flow through you. 3 closings in 4 years. You've never missed a deadline, never leaked information. That's worth more than intelligence. You manage a $1.2 billion book of advisory mandates. You sit on pitches as the senior banker now. Your associate runs the model. Your VP coordinates due diligence. You sell the vision. You sell confidence. That is the product. You start to understand leverage in its purest form. Not financial leverage, informational leverage. The knowing. You know which companies are about to run a strategic review before it's announced. You know which sovereign fund is quietly building a position before any disclosure. You don't trade on it. That's not what this level is about. But you know, and the knowing makes you sharper, more decisive. Then you lose one. Not because of the numbers, but because of a relationship you didn't have. A competing MD went to the same private club as the chairman. That's why you lost a $2.8 billion mandate, a club membership. You don't lose your composure. You don't make excuses. You join 2 clubs within the month. At the director level, the deal is never just about the numbers. Level 5, Managing Director. The calls come earlier now, sometimes before markets open, sometimes from private numbers. You manage 12 client relationships. Each one is worth between $3 million and $40 million in annual fee revenue. You are no longer working for the bank. You are the bank's relationship with these clients. That is a subtle but seismic distinction. You sit on an internal credit committee, $900 million in revolving credit deteriorating balance sheet. You vote yes, not because the credit is clean, but because losing the relationship would cost 3 times the exposure. It's a political decision disguised as a financial one. Every major decision at this level is political. You travel constantly: Singapore, Zurich, Abu Dhabi, Dubai. You have dinners with ministers, not politicians, ministers. These are not business dinners. They are relationship maintenance. The relationship is the business. Capital doesn't follow returns alone. It follows relationships, political alignment, regulatory familiarity, and trust between the right people. The best trade in the world doesn't execute without that trust. Your identity has quietly restructured itself around the machine. You don't notice. Nobody does. Not at first. Level 6, Partner. There are 14 partners in the division. You are one of them now. Your name is on the door. Not literally, but in every way that matters. You have a carried interest in the fund. Skin is in every major deal the firm runs. When the fund performs, you perform. When it doesn't, neither do you. This changes everything about how you think. You stop optimizing for the annual bonus. You optimize for the 5-year fund cycle. You stop thinking in quarters. You start thinking in decades. You led a $4.3 billion acquisition of a European energy infrastructure company. 3 months of negotiation, 4 regulatory jurisdictions, 2 competing bids. You run the consortium, your fund, a Middle Eastern sovereign co-investor, a Canadian pension. The closing dinner is in London. The handshake happens in a room that doesn't appear on any floor plan. You structure the offshore holding through a Luxembourg SCA, feeding into a Cayman feeder fund. The tax efficiency is substantial. The structure is entirely legal. 2 attorneys, Dublin and Singapore, have blessed it from every angle. You sign without hesitation. The deal adds 180 basis points to the fund's net IRR. Your carried interest on this single transaction will compound to over $40 million. You stop attending most social events, not because you're too busy, but because the conversations aren't useful anymore. Your social world has narrowed to people who control capital. Level 7, Chairman. Coincidentally, here are 2 calls today. One from a sovereign wealth fund in the Gulf, $7 billion seeking deployment. They want your fund to anchor the deal flow. You're one of 3 firms they will give that mandate to. The second call is from a finance ministry, not a banker, the minister. You take both calls from the same room, 44th floor corner office. No trading screens, no Bloomberg terminal, just glass and silence. And a phone that connects you to people who move entire asset classes. You are not in the market anymore. The market is in you. Your positioning, your sentiment, and your deployment decisions move price discovery. When you buy, others watch. When you pull back, analysts write for weeks. You sit on 3 corporate boards. You advise a multilateral development bank's infrastructure program. You brief the government twice a year on capital market conditions. You do not lobby, you advise. The distinction is real. the influence is the same. The moral architecture becomes abstract at this level. The consequences are too diffuse to feel too distributed across too many institutions. You don't feel the layoffs downstream. You feel the fund return. You optimize the fund return. That is the system. The seventh rule: there is no outside perspective anymore. You are the perspective. Level 8, Systemic Architect. You don't carry a title. There's just a name. No designation below it. Senior Advisor, Chairman Emeritus, a name attached to a family office. All technically accurate. None of it is true. Stakes in 5 funds, 2 private banks, and 1 reinsurance vehicle registered in Bermuda. You are 71 years old, 47 years inside the machine. It has been here longer. 3 central bank governors know you by your first name, not by your title. Not because you influence monetary policy, but because the information flows in both directions. Your committee deploys across sovereign debt infrastructure, equity distressed credit, and currency carry structures 14 markets. Total AUM is above $90 billion. The exact number is known to 4 people. You are one of them. You don't trade your position. Trading responds to the market. Positioning precedes it. 2 years before anyone else, you see a currency block facing liquidity stress. You structure accordingly, not to trigger the event, but to be on the right side when it arrives. When it happens, your funds gain. The press calls it prescient risk management. The cost of this level is not something anyone prepares you for. The people you trust number fewer than 10. Beyond that circle, nothing. You have more access than anyone in your life can understand, and you have almost no one to tell. You are too embedded to be removed. The system would cost more to dismantle than to keep. That is not power. That is something quieter, colder, and more permanent than power. A boardroom in Geneva. 4 people, no agenda on the table, no presentation on the screen. You speak for approximately 6 minutes. The room listens to every word. Then you stop, and the room moves. Somewhere in a glass tower in a city that never stops moving, a 23-year-old opens a terminal for the very first time. His badge says, Analyst First Year. The badge has always said that. It always will. He thinks this is about salary. He thinks the system rewards what you put in. He doesn't know yet what the system actually rewards, but he will find out. The terminal blinks. The market opens, and the machine takes another step forward. The terminal blinks, the market opens, and the machine takes another step forward. But maybe the real question is not how far someone can climb inside the machine. Maybe the real question is what part of yourself you are willing to trade to get there. Because every level gives you something: money, access, status, control. But every level also asks for something: back time, silence, distance, conscience. So if you are watching this, ask yourself, honestly, what are you chasing right now? And more importantly, who are you becoming while you chase it? Because success is not dangerous when you own it. It becomes dangerous when it owns you.